Academia-themed comedies and dramas, they're not anything new, but breaking some of the rules to make the story fresh is more of a rare phenomenon. Netflix's Vladimir teases a steamy and sensual dramedy with Rachel Weisz and Leo Woodall, but is that really what we get? When a passionate but reckless professor's world begins to unravel, she finds herself dangerously fixated on her magnetic new colleague. As boundaries blur and secrets simmer, she'll risk everything to bring her utmost scandalous fantasies to life. So to answer my own question right from the start, no, this isn't nearly as seductive as the poster or even trailer may lead you to believe. Sure, this isn't devoid of some sexy situations, but more often than not, these become coitus interruptus, not quite ever reaching the point of something arousing. In addition to Weisz and Woodall, this also stars John Slattery, Matt Walsh, Kaylee Carter, Jessica Henwick, and Ellen Robertson, with the entire story centering around Weisz's characters daydreaming fantasies about the newest professor in the department, played by Woodall, who's named Vladimir Vladinsky, so he's Vlad. The plot is kind of sleazy, and not in that erotic type of sleaze, but the whole premise, it just left me feeling a little bit dirty and kind of disgusted. We watch a married couple who have some unaddressed issues, breaking apart a bit at the seams, not so much through infidelity, but through a lack of connection or even trying. This then lands Weisz to let her thoughts just run rampant to address her needs and desires. And the point becomes, though, that the object of her desire is a young married dude with a toddler whose wife is an adjunct at the same university in the same department and is struggling with some real concerns in her own life. Now, I don't want to just harp on Weisz's character, though. She's not the only one in this narrative who displays some thoughtless or even selfish behaviors, which makes just about every character one that I'm not interested in spending much time with. John Slattery is a lecherous professor and Weisz's husband, so no matter how much the characters try to bring up things were different back then, it doesn't really remove some of the ick factor of his actions. Matt Walsh attempts to be a decent human, but is consistently wandering back into the area of yuck as the new department head who longs to have a past forbidden relationship. And several of the other faculty are also gossipy, backstabbing, just illustrating that basically the staff at the university offer up the worst traits of humanity as their defining characteristics within this storytelling. The characters who are the most likable are Woodall and Henwick. They appear to be oblivious to all the looks and lusts that are pointed their way, especially when it comes to Woodall and Weisz's penetrating stares. Still not good enough a reason to use the word penetrate. So the 8-episode series, it doesn't offer up many strong or even viable characters that we want to root for. But that doesn't mean the show is a waste or something to be skipped. All the episodes are around 30 minutes, so it is a fast binge. And what really drives this in terms of freshness is the writing and then the performance by Rachel Weisz. Weisz consistently breaks the fourth wall, addressing us, sometimes mid-sentence, to state a point, then returning to what she's discussing with her co-stars. And Weisz is also balancing tenured self-assurance with juvenile and awkward exchanges, allowing us to witness all the cracks in her polished facade to prove that she's just as flawed as anyone she looks down on. And Woodall plays the doe-eyed, innocent, and oblivious thirst-trap professor really well. In a story where he's surrounded by so many vapid or lusty coworkers, it's odd but endearing to see him breeze through conversations and interactions without being sucked into the vortex of sexual hunger that's just swirling around him. Vlad comes off as a genuinely nice and caring character, one who is in stark contrast to the majority of the other characters. He's certainly not perfect, and he can be goofy or even dumb at points, but he's mainly a likable addition. Because all of the characters, at least where the faculty are concerned, are English and literature professors, there are many, many literary references inserted into the dialogue. Some are short, quick, and obscured. Others are a bit longer, so they stand out as more obvious. But even the episode titles refer in some way to a work of literary prowess. Now, it's a powerful device to have the main character involve us in the story and making us their accomplice to whatever might occur. This is also an effective way to allow us into the deep, sometimes perverse thoughts of Weisz's character. So when we see the imagery of her fantasies, no explanations needed. We've been in her head the whole time, and we clearly understand what is motivating her actions and then seemingly impulsive behaviors. While this is billed as a dark comedic drama, there were very few times that I laughed or really even chuckled. The wit is intelligent, it's just not necessarily hilarious. And thanks to the oppressive overtone that encompasses the series, it's way easier to fall into melancholy than laughter. And this also contributed to my not clicking with the show right from the start. I appreciated the fourth wall breaking, and I liked the snark that Weisz was presenting, but for about 3, maybe even 4 episodes, I wasn't sure I wanted to continue. The theme just wasn't resonating with me. But I am glad I stuck with it because while this didn't create an overwhelming desire to revisit the story over and over, I intensely enjoyed the smartness of the writing and then the witty deliveries of the actors. The series does offer a complete arc, so there's not really any need to continue forward after this, but there are still some areas that could be explored if Netflix wanted to extend the show. I prefer this as a one and done, self-contained story, leaving the characters to continue in their lives where we can't be witness. And I'm not sure I really want to spend more time with any of them either. The discomfort I got from their personalities and behaviors offsets the huge positives with the writing and the acting. Not quite canceling each other out, but still leaving me with a small yuck factor when the whole thing is complete. So to reiterate, the acting in this is wonderful. Each character elicits the right amount of ire or disgust while also demonstrating an enormous capacity for intelligent wit. The sharp and clever writing elevates what could be a run-of-the-mill angry dramedy and turns it into a punchy and scholarly thinking person's relationship story that's not afraid to get down and dirty when needed. Rachel Weisz is brilliant. Not necessarily likable, but certainly captivating in a slimy sort of way, delivering a character whose flaws mainly outshines her strengths, but still manages to intrigue us. There's sex, some brief nudity, a ton of profanity, then a little bit of violence. I give Vladimir 3.5 out of 5 couches. I didn't love this enough to want to watch it again, but the shrewd writing and delivery do have their charms. Okay, what are you binging right now? Anything awesome that you can let me in on? I would love to get some recommendations in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.